With my art, I deal with issues of labor in our society, particularly the undervalued nature of women's and working class labor, being both oversimplified and devalued by our society throughout history involving our labor. I express these ideas through crafting, which has long been the only accepted form of women's labor to be displayed, especially in art history. Crafting gives value to things that normally have none. Crafting has a deep significance to us culturally, so any material used will also gain a significance that it may not naturally have. And that's simply through the labor involved and associated with crafting. This has been my focus as an artist the last few years or so. It's where I'm exploring deeply at the moment. And what I have found is that by this recontextualization of the material, I'm not only creating material puns, but I'm also creating cultural puns, because, I think I'm funny, but that's up for debate. So a lot of my work is, if it kind of gets me to giggle at its irony in the material and what it turns out to be afterward, it's what I consider a well-done piece. So as we will see once the slide goes. All right, so this is one of my pieces. It was one of the first pieces I worked on during my senior capstone. And this is simply my challenging and dealing with my own obsession with crafting. And this was, I gathered up every single material that I could imagine that could be used to crochet, whether it was wire, plastic bags, fabric, yarn. I spent a month like a crazy person looking for anything. And then I just spent the next year making this 50-foot-long thing that I then wrapped myself up in and was rolling around on the floor like a crazy person, because that's the only natural step with obsession. So that's the very first thing that I did. This particular piece is called Memories, and this was my addressing, again, a more personal piece, addressing my personal growing up and fond memories with the working class. My father, bless his heart, is only 46, and he has worked harder than any man I've ever known. And so I grew up around a lot of things that are strange for kids to grow up, like construction equipment, power tools, things that with what we consider a cushy childhood, that sweet, soft innocence, compared to the hard labor of working class, normally don't go together. And this was my trying to combine them in a sensible way that I considered it. This next piece was a direct, was a angry piece, I would call it, because I was doing research on World War II, and I came across a propaganda ad for women's labor, basically saying, if you can run an electric mixer, you can run a power drill. Yeah. It made me kind of angry, because that's very simplifying and then underestimating what women could do and kind of lying to them outright. So this was my response. I made those pot holders and made them into a bomb, like what they were using around that time and what women were being made to make in those factories. And this is a piece, another one, it's because I think I'm funny. I took, they were handing out t-shirts. I took as many t-shirts as I could, advertising that stupid those Walmart Bluebird credit cards. And this is my kind of cheeky response to the redundancy of consumerism, because to make an exact replica of those t-shirts after ripping them apart and recrocheting them into the same exact t-shirt, it took 13 of them, which was a lot more than I thought it would take. And in the end, this thing is easily 20 pounds. So, and I thought, yeah, I'm not even kidding. Yeah. So this is a piece that I feel really drives home the point of everything I'm trying to do with emphasizing that crafting adds value to things that have no significance, that word is hard to say up here, significance that normally it doesn't have. This is a piece called The Drapes Are Rubbish, and you can see it at the railroad house right now. It's literally made from garbage bags. Yep, I made these adorable kitschy curtains that I absolutely love, and they are made from garbage bags, and I spent a week making them look that nice and that pretty. And I think they look pretty, but they're literally garbage bags. This is another one of my cheeky responses to both consumerism and the way we're targeted by ads and things like that. This is a quilt that I made from quilted northern toilet paper. I made an adorable little quilt out of toilet paper, And it was just kind of, I was baffled and appalled by these commercials showing me grandmother's quilting in a quilting square, and it was for toilet paper. It's like, I don't want that sweet thing associated with that thing. So this was my response to that. All right, and this was a piece that I was trying to deal with the idea of how we accept certain gender traits to be displayed by the other gender if it's in a certain context. So this was my exploration of how we allow men to have more feminine traits, but as long as it's in a masculine context. So I made fishing hooks, like fly fishing hooks, out of all the material that I could find just walking around my studio in my house. And it was that challenging and the juxtaposing of male versus feminine. And a lot of men have come up to me and said, a lot of those would really work as fly fishing flies. So I guess it worked. And this is the final piece, and this is one of my absolute favorites. It's called Threadbare, and it's about how material is associated to an idea or a subject in our society. This is simply made from those really cheap brown paper towels that you only ever see janitors with. And janitors always have the same work shirt uniform. And so that's where that association came from, of this material is only found by this class of working people. And so I created a work shirt out of that material. And it's very delicate, but very strong all at the same time. And I appreciate you all coming out here tonight and listening to me rant about what I love so much. Thank you so much.